Great to be here one more time today. And my name is Gary Fowler, and I'm the founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai, one of the first generative AI companies that I co-founded with Dr. David Yang. We believe that intellectual capacity is evenly spread around the world, but opportunities are not. With that, I have an incredible guest. Kumar Ujjwal is a visionary and analytic leader known for his entrepreneurial success with a proven track record as a 2X founder. He spearheaded the growth of the companies such as DwellFi and Revni, leveraging the expertise in SaaS, AI, machine learning, blockchain, Fintech. And he's been a product manager at companies like Punchh, which resulted in a $500 million exit. Ooh, let's talk about that. Highlighting his strategic acumen and ability to drive impactful outcome. He's got several patents in AI and machine learning, and he combines his expertise not only in business with technical expertise to be able to evolve using his education at Stanford University's esteemed business program. He was nominated as one of the top 50 emerging fund managers by Signature Block, and he's done incredible things from the beginning to the end and continuing the journey. So with that, I'd like to bring Kumar on board. Hi, Kumar. How are you doing today? It's good to see you.
Hey, Gary. Good to see you.
Now, I got a question for you. So, you've got a wide background, but the thing is interesting. Why did you get a nano degree to Udacity?
That's a very interesting. So when I got into Udacity nano degree when I don't remember, it was 2016, 17, correct? At some time that so they launched this self-driving car course, which was a very first self-driving car, and actually the self-driving car was actually autonomous driving was just coming out that time, and that was I would say the era of deep learning, where a lot started happening in deep learnings, and the reason was because at that time Inception and a few more models were released. People started excited about that. People were doing a lot of experiment, and it was a kind of a boom era for the AI. And I saw Udacity doing a self-driving car, and it was very interesting, and just jumped in.
So you did that, and did you go to Stanford University? Because I know you've got a lot of machine learning and Ignite program. What did you study at Stanford?
So I went to Stanford Ignite program, which is like a business program. So went through the whole process and did I would say this is a program which basically they put together for part-time, and there's also a full-time, but I did the part-time. They put together this as a program for a Stanford student or anyone who wants to join it externally, so they can also join. The process is about building a startup. So you go through the whole process and build a startup, actually. And if you want, you can take that startup outside the world and then continue the working on that, or if you just want to drop it there, but you can drop it.
I got it. And did you enjoy the program?
Yeah, it's really a great program, actually. It happens twice a year. You can go through the whole process of applying it. They take your interview and everything like the regular MBA, but you don't need like a GMAT or anything to do that. But once you go through the process, it's the similar approach that compress the entire MBA program into I would say 2 to 3 months, actually. So for every course, there is for every lecture is dedicated to one particular semester. That's how they say. So entire 2 year of MBA is basically compressed into 3 months. So it's a very rigorous program, I would say, if anyone who wants to go through the process. But at the same time, if you have not much time and you want to learn, that is the best way to go through the entire experience.
No, it's, you go down through it. It's interesting because we've got Stanford MBAs, Harvard MBAs, Princeton MBAs inside of GSD. So I get them on actually through the MBA program on the other side. It's quite interesting, actually. It's an interesting experience. But the one thing I will say, it's about the experience counts, right? It's not about the education you have, it's about how you apply it.
Exactly. It's all about experience, and going through the whole process. It's just give you a different perspective about. There's two things. One, you learn, of course, so you learn at school, you learn at work, and then you learn during these kind of programs where it gives you a different kind of exposure, where you are meeting with a lot of different people, it gives you a different network, and which all eventually helps you out.
So, you've gone down through it, you've had several exits. What's it feel like having an exit?
uh, for me, it's just jumping onto something else, the new idea and new thing, uh, work on new opportunities. That's how you all like. I would say it's maybe it's not for me right now to kind of take a break, but rather work on something more exciting opportunity. There's so much happening in the world, and especially at the where we are. We are at the cusp of a new dawn of AI. And if you think about the whole era uh, from .com to now, there's like three things which have happened. So it's called platform shift. So it started with the .com, and you've seen it. So you know this.
Well, I
So
mean, I lived it, Kumar. I was right there because I started the first, one of the first e-commerce consulting companies back in '98. I was right
yeah,
there, right in there with P. Hong Chen and Broad Vision, and my company Broady, and I've seen it. It was amazing, and but what's the difference between
yeah.
that and today? What do you think the fundamental differences are between the late '90s, early 2000s, and today compared to
Yeah.
what's happening with generative AI?
So I would say there are a couple of fundamental differences. So first of all, if you take this whole uh, landscape, so there was a .com bubble. So first internet adoption happens, and then there's a bubble burst. But then the companies actually, you are saying today, the big companies are after that, correct? Then the second shift happened in the mobile, 2007, when the platform shift. So literally, people from internet moved on the mobile devices, and then every single application moved from internet to mobile device, and that was the second shift happened. And then you saw like huge companies, billion-dollar companies like Uber and all these companies got built on that just mobile platform. Now, what we are seeing is the third platform shift, which is driven by the AI. Now, what is happening is every single AI, every single application, doesn't matter what type of application it is, gonna use AI in some shape or form, correct? But the fundamental difference between the previous era and today is, I truly believe, is a distribution. So if you look at the internet era, the internet was the distribution platform itself, correct? Because that's where the application was built. Mobile was the distribution platform where it was built. But this time, it's not the distribution. Distribution is already there. So mobile is there, the platform is there. What is happening is the application there. Of course, two parts, silicon and application. So the application layer, if you see, the distribution is already there, and it's just consuming every single app or application which you see is now powered by AI. So that is what the fundamental difference is. So that AI doesn't need to be distributed. It's already there. Everyone is using it, and it's going to be more and more
Well,
utilized.
I hear people. I was with yesterday some of the wealthiest people on the planet Earth at a family office event, and a lot of them don't get it yet. They hear about generative AI, they don't get it yet. How do you go down through? So the question is, how do you get those kind of folks that basically control the 99% of the wealth to get it?
Yeah. So if you look at the way the shift is happening, it's and I would say a lot of people is getting it very seriously, because the shift is happening at two layers. One is at the application layer, and the second is the silicon layer. And that is the most fundamental difference. If you look at what happened and why it's happening, is because first the models were there. and then it has gradual transformation of the model, and newer model will shift. But to actually execute that model at scale, you need the computation power, correct? And that was the thing which was missing. But now that's available with the NVIDIA H100, and they just launched the new one. And then all the other companies, everyone is working on designing their own chip. So, and all those chips are very, very, I would say, are focused for a specific type of program. So Amazon is building their own GPU chip for their own data center and the cloud. Same as Microsoft is doing, same as Apple is doing, same as Google is doing. But NVIDIA has already gone way far ahead for them.
Why would they
But
do that when they already have them developed? It's like reinventing the wheel, isn't it?
it's a business. Think about it. NVIDIA is taking the entire market, correct?
Well,
So
and that's why there's companies like, some of the things you're working on today. So tell us about that, by the way, and let's go back to going from an idea to the exit. So tell us about your company. I know you're very excited about, you've got this incredible company with GPUs. Tell us a little bit about it.
yeah, so what we are doing is I'm doing a bunch of other things, but one of the thing is what we are focused on is how to enable the GPU cloud providers. So one of the fundamental shift has happened with this AI race is GPUs become a huge commodity, and it is not available for easily available for everyone. But everyone needs this. So whole supply and demand curve has like shifted dramatically, and it's gonna not change right now. It's because the demand is going up and up and up very high velocity, and the same problem is supply is deteriorating because there's only one company in the world who can provide those kind of GPUs, and everyone wants that. That's one of the reason why it's a huge market opportunity. So every large corporations is also looking at it. But what fundamental shift has happened is now there's a separate kind of cloud companies coming in, which only their expertise is providing the GPUs.
Mm-hmm.
So GPU as a service, cloud service. And then that cloud service is not just serving the GPUs, but also they build a software stack on top of that. So it's becoming more and more like a AWS, but very verticalized. So like if you go to AWS or Azure or GCP, you have the full variety of products and services, correct? AI is one of the services, but these companies are very focused on the AI and getting that specific uh, GPU cloud as a service to the startup. And there are two type of service model in this. One is an on-demand, and the other one is a long-term lease. And what we are seeing is the on-demand is going rapidly expanding. The reason why, because a lot more startup every day is coming in the space, and everyone needs GPUs. So they basically get the GPUs as a service, use that, train their model, launch the services, and as they need more, they launch their model. So what we do, our company is more like a financial partners for these GPU cloud service providers, and we enable these companies to buy these GPUs at scale, because one, these GPUs are very, very uh, uh, I would say rare, because in the sense, rare is not the word, but I would say it's like 18 months, 16 months, that kind of lag period is. So if you want latest and greatest of the hardware, just forget about it. 18, 19 months, you'll not get there. So buying power becomes a very huge advantage in this one. So if you buy it at like a bulk, these GPUs, you have an advantage to buy these at scale. So that's what we do. And then for that, what we have is we have a two partnership with NVIDIA Elite Partnership and the VC Alliance Partnership. So both of these, what it does is one, enable you to access these GPUs at a better pricing, preferred pricing, plus also in a better timing. But the second thing what it does is the VC Alliance is it enables you to get the access to the the startup community, which is funded by the NVIDIA, and these startup needs this GPU. So you have like a symbiotic relationship. The whole, yeah, it's exactly, it's a symbiotic relationship with the whole ecosystem. So whole ecosystem thrives. That's how it works.
Well, that's so it sounds incredible. So let's go down through it. So, you've had two startups that have had exits. What was it like? How did you start them? How did you find your co-founders? And How did you get to the point? How did you know it was time to exit?
Yeah. So I would say the starting the co-founder is a critical piece of your company. So there are two ways people found the co-founders. One is when they know each other for a very, very long time, and in that way it's much easier to start a company together because you both know each other's mentality, correct? And you have worked together, you've gone through a lot of ups and downs. But when you're finding an co-founder in the company where you don't know them, but the whole motive is financial motive. Basically, you're starting a company and then you will have exit. That's become very challenging. So in that case, becoming a co-founder, bringing a co-founder who you don't know, there's a lot goes into this. So trust, setting up a trust between these two parties who are setting up these company. Second, execution, ownership. What type of ownership should be divided between two parties? So when you are bringing a co-founder who you don't know, it's it's the best advice would be set up a legal structure in a way that tomorrow it doesn't jeopardize your company. What I have seen several times, people get together, start the companies. When they start the company, they have like equal ownership, put that on the board. They both are on the company's board, and then a conflict started. You are in a gridlock. You cannot get out. And then what is the eventually the company has shut. The company will shut down. Investors lose money. So do those things. You have to be in a
How
good.
do you do that, Kumar? What do you do? How do you set it up so that you don't hit that gridlock?
Yeah. So to set up this great log and this, so like when we do investment or anything, we definitely in the founders we want to understand two things. Like, okay, is this the founder? Both of them know each other for a very long time. There is a level of trust and all those things. That's good. If it's a new founder, they need to very. It's important to understand what type of relationship they have in the company and what kind of legal contract framework it is. Like, okay, if one is the CTO, one is the CEO, what is the split between both of them, and what type of ownership? And they need to have a third person in that gridlock situation. Either it's an investor, like if I'm investing, or then that becomes the person who can resolve that gridlock. Because other than that, in the worst case scenario, if that's not the case, then a single small conflict can just kill the company.
Yeah, no, I've seen it, and people's ego gets in front of them, and sometimes they let it screw it up, and nothing good happens. Right? You get so
Yeah.
gridlocked, the company goes out of business, and the poor investors lose their money. So, have you been through those situations, and did you have to resolve those too with the third party?
Actually, two times I've been in this situation, and the way we have resolved it was getting into. So, in one of the case, they already had this kind of gridlock situation, which was very hard to resolve at that time. So, we basically has to negotiate with both the parties, and one party has to buy the other party's equity, in the early stage, and so
How
there are
do you
different ways to
how do
resolve.
you value it though, Kumar? How do
Yeah.
you put a value on the equity when you're early stage startup? Man, that's really
It's very, very hard, and there is no easy way to answer this. To be honest, is eventually when you are in that situation, it's purely negotiation, and who gives what kind of weightage on what are the different on different terms. It's just that. So, but it is what you said. It's very hard to value anything. Somebody will say, "Oh, I need this." Someone will say, "No, no, no, I cannot agree on this," because it's very complex.
or maybe they
But
just don't have the money.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like keep it simple, stupid. They just don't have the money, or
yeah.
they're not in that position. And you never know if a startup's going to succeed or fail, right? You're invested in the thing, additional funds, not knowing you essentially become an investor in the company, right? A little bit different.
Yeah, sometimes the big problem is the reason why when these gridlock happen and people wants to have a clean exit because nobody wants to have like a dead weight of a founder. So let's say a founder, co-founder, and now he decided to leave, and they have a significant portion of your company, correct? And just because to avoid legal situation, paying off, and all those things, you have to let the other founder let go. But
Well, it's hard
have
to
to give.
become a founder if you have equal shares, right?
Yeah.
What do you
And
do?
is it like, even if in those situations, it's end of the day, it's all about the how you negotiate and rewrite the terms. That's the only way you can
Right.
resolve it. There is no other, like, there is no simple answer to this, and my best advice for this situation is, do not involve a lawyer, because the another thing you are adding is one more uh, legal. The moment you involve legal, they also don't have any kind of right answer. They will just,
Well,
it
they
will
know
add
one
more
thing.
burden.
A lot of times, the more hours you put in, the more money they make, right?
Exactly, and you're gonna lose
I'm
more
not sure
money.
that's a good thing, right?
Exactly. So the best advice is, if you are in this situation, you need to talk to your advisors, you need to talk to your investors, and just resolve internally. Never ever involve a legal, because you're just gonna lose more money out of this.
No, that's great. That's great feedback. So, if you're going down through, how did you know it was the right time to do the IPO or to do not an IPO, but an exit, an acquisition or IPO? When do you know it's the right time? Besides somebody
So
coming up and said, "Oh, I'm going to give you a lot of money."
it all depends on the market situations, to be honest, depending on where, at what stage your company is. You're seeing there's several factors comes into the picture, correct? You're looking at the company trajectory, where the company is going, how far it can go, correct? What is the current market situation? Is this the market is at the top peak? Is there a lot of interest in your product and services? There is a different competition coming in the market, and you envision right now, because of that, that competition, the future might be more competitive. So if you get this exit opportunity right now, you can exit. So there's a various factors comes into this one. And then the right way to do it is talk to your, of course, investors and all, and then bring in not just one but multiple investment bankers. Now you have different perspective about your company from a different firms, and each of these firms will give you the right advice. And if all three or four firms you have, they all are interested, now you have multiple bids coming in. So that means this is the right time to exit.
Uh-huh.
If it's not, you will know right away that nobody is interested. It's not the right time. So just stay put.
So you went down through. What was the biggest exit you had?
Well, I personally did that exit. So I was at Punchh as the first head of product, and the company got acquired by Par Technologies, and that was like a one big exit for me.
Well, that's great. How did it feel when you got the check?
Feels good, but then I was ready for the next thing.
There you go. I love hearing that. Now you're right. You go to the next one. It's not about stopping. It's about moving forward, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then,
Um,
so how did you? How much better prepared were you for the second one after already having an exit?
the second one was it's uh, to be honest, is much better than anything starting your first time. But every time you do something, you learn throughout the process, and that learning helps you the next step. And if you want to, like, there's no easy way to gauge how much you are prepared, because it's the way it is like everything, every time it's a new challenge, right? And it's very hard to say the compare it with the previous challenge, correct? So now you start something new, it's a whole new industry, whole new vertical, you will face whole new challenges. The only thing you can, the the difference is that in the previous time, if you have gone through any type of challenge, to be honest, any type of challenge in the life, it doesn't matter, like a startup or whatever, you've gone through multiple of challenges and you have somehow ways to resolve it, then the new challenge which you'll face, you will resolve it. So uh, like there's no a single pill that, okay, if you have done this, you will gonna pass the next test, because the new test is completely different. The whole variables in that uh, challenge will be completely different. So you have to be prepared. The one thing which you have to be patient. You have to be patient and calm. Do not get panic in the problems. if that's the case, then you will be able to think clearly. And if you're able to think clearly, you will resolve that problem somehow. So it's very hard to say like how much you're prepared. The best way to say is if you have done the previous challenges, you have solved something, you'll be ready for the next one.
Yeah, no, I hear you 100%. And you're right about it. The more you do this, the easier it gets because you don't get
Yeah,
as frustrated and upset. It's just part of the process. And and it becomes an interesting book. You start going, it feels like you're writing chapters to your book. And then when
exactly. Yeah,
book done, you're doing a trilogy. And as you're going down through it, you understand what it's like doing an IPO on NASDAQ or raising hundreds of millions of dollars. It just feels good, actually. You get to the point where uncertainty is not a bad thing.
exactly. I think the best way to say that is uncertainty is not the challenge, or it's the best thing for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went out with Scott McNeely one time, and he said that always go to areas you fear the most. You're going to learn the most. And
Yep.
I never forgot that, and it's just amazing. Listen, we're coming up to the top of the show. We'll have to get you on for another part 2. But closing thoughts and what's the best way for people to get a hold of you, Kumar?
Yeah, I'm available on LinkedIn. People can come and ping me on LinkedIn. I'm always responsive there. I'm on Twitter. People can reach out to me on Twitter. LinkedIn, I would say, is the best way to reach out.
Excellent. And closing thoughts. What would you say to those startups and investors out there right now today?
Today, definitely, is a little bit challenging moment. Money is not easily available as it used to be. So I would say that any startup founder, the most important thing, they need to focus on the unit economics, because that's how everyone is measuring you. It's not gone are the days when people were just uh, seeing how fast you can grow, but nobody was caring like how much money you're pouring in for that growth. So today, the most important thing is what is your unit economics, how you're growing, but at the same time, how best way you can managing your books.
Yeah, you're right. Put some money in the bank, show that you have a real business, and the days of just talking about something and raising hundreds of millions of dollars are over.
Yep, yep.
Kumar, thanks for taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule to join us today. And thanks to all my audience for joining one more time. GSD Presents Silicon Valley AI and Tech. I'm your host, Gary Fowler. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I'll be back to you again on Thursday with another exciting edition. Thanks so much, Kumar, and thanks, everybody.
Thank you.